Good evening, I'm Michael Myers. I have enormous psychological problems, and I'm going to take them out on you.
That's right, the brand new Halloween movie premieres tomorrow. Now, this is neither a reboot nor is it exactly a sequel, not at least to the 8 Halloween movies we've seen so far. Halloween, as it premieres tomorrow, is a sequel to the one Halloween movie, the original, the one John Carpenter released in 1978. So you can forget about the 7 sequels, and you can certainly forget about Rob Zombie's 2 reboots. The first one dropped in 2007, and the second one in 2009. This is a direct successor to Halloween 1. Alright, continuity is very important in all things genre, certainly in horror, and it looks like Halloween is on track to make a crap ton of money. And, granted, this stuff is not always easily predictable. I was certain, as were all my peers, that, for instance, Venom would do terribly a few weeks back, and that, in its place, A Star is Born would do very well. A Star is Born is holding up okay. It's fine. It's not what you would expect from a movie that stars Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, whereas Venom made so much money that in describing what a hit Halloween is poised to be, the trades are describing it in terms such as it's poised to break the record set by Venom. So yeah, Venom made a lot of money. I don't know whether or not it was deserved. My opinion is mine, and I think it was a god-awful movie, but I do think Halloween looks great, and that it is very deserving of this box office projection of a conservative estimate, domestically, somewhere between $70 and $85 million, and taking into account overseas box office, that's going to look more like 100 to 110 million. Now, you might wonder why a movie that grosses so much domestically would only make, less than a half of that, taking into account all the other countries it's going to premiere in, and that is because horror is just simply handled differently overseas. The main thing is that they wait a little bit longer for their Halloween horror movies. So, we're premiering Halloween on October 19th, whereas in Europe and in much of Asia, they're like, Halloween is October 31st. Why don't we at least wait until the week before Halloween, before premiering it on tons and tons of screens and in many theaters? So, taking into account both domestic and international box office, it's probably going to make, before it's done, probably 150 to 200 million, which is pretty damn impressive for any movie, certainly a horror movie, and especially one that's had a weird and rich and complicated history the way Halloween has. And it could not happen to a nicer franchise. It's one of the best, most original, most beloved legacy slasher film franchises. And it's so cool that Jamie Lee Curtis is once again an action hero. Some of us have known her in recent years more as the spokesperson for Activia yogurt. It's nice to know that you can go through these various phases of life. Action hero, slightly more sedate actor, someone who's known for yogurt, and then suddenly, once again, you're taking on Michael Myers in the woods. That's very cool. It's a wonderful career arc. I've always loved and respected Jamie Lee Curtis, and I'm very excited for her. And given the many twists and turns that the Halloween franchise has been put through, it's very cool to see that it's returning to something quite akin to its cinematic roots. This is really a spiritual and, in many ways, it looks to be an aesthetic successor to the 1978 John Carpenter original, which, good horror movies, devoid of merchandising and a pre-planned trilogy, and all the crass commercialism that has invaded all of cinema and horror in particular. It's so nice to see something return to its roots. This in large part due to David Gordon Green, who directed and co-wrote the film along with Jeff Bradley and Danny McBride. So I'm really excited for that. And also, last night, talking about horror, I gave a sort of grim diagnosis to the brand of The Walking Dead. The television series is doing quite poorly. The comic is holding up as well as ever, but Robert Kirkman has been rather vocal that, time is running out. Rick Grimes and his crew in the pages of the comic are facing off against yet another competing civilization run by a governor who at first seems quite kind and like they can do business with one another, but who is in fact masking a totalitarian regime. And as exciting and fun as it is, even Kirkman has acknowledged that we've seen this storyline before and we can't do it that many more times before the series just has to come to its logical end. And it looks as if there's going to be one more great big war between the factions, and then I believe the comic is going to begin winding down. And as for the video game, oh boy. Skybound Entertainment is going to take up the reins from Telltale Studios and finish the final season of the video game, but even before Telltale's woes and the closing of their doors. This was the final season of the video game, so the video game is on its way out. The TV series, planned or not, is likely looking at obsolescence, if not this season, then probably by season 10, and look, that is a very long run for a television series to have. I don't begrudge them or consider them any sort of failure for only having made 10 seasons, and for only making billions and billions and billions of dollars. That is a success by any means. But the trajectory that they've been on since 2010 of only getting higher ratings, only being more critically lauded, only attracting more fans and becoming more a part of our cultural fiber, that is clearly on the decline. Having said that, and having made those pronouncements last night, I talked about how many of my friends were involved in the franchise in one form or another, be they Image Comics and Skybound employees, former Telltale employees, people who have worked on the cast and crew of the AMC show, either as one-off zombies or as recurring zombies, or as people who fought for or against Rick Grimes and his crew. And I sort of despaired at the fate of The Walking Dead. And it turns out, Robert Kirkman at least, is going to be just fine for the very long term. I mean, for one thing, there's going to be an Invincible television series and or movie. There's the ongoing television adaptation of his comic Outcast, and many more TV adaptations from his comics on the way. And he's also still merchandising the heck out of The Walking Dead. One of these aforementioned friends of mine, who works very closely with Skybound and Robert Kirkman, came to my home today with a bottle of something I've never heard of, The Walking Dead wine. This is a real thing. You can order it at thewalkingdeadwine.com. And I was given a bottle of their very silliest wine, the 2016 Blood Red Blend. And I'll tell you, I don't know if this is for loco or crack cocaine or what, but I had a glass like 6 hours ago, and I'm tipsy. So he's merchandising like crazy. This bottle of wine retails for $18.99, as does the Walking Dead 2015 Cabernet Sauvignon, 2016 Chardonnay, the 2016 Sauvignon Blanc. This is so ridiculous that there is a Walking Dead wine, and it's even more ridiculous that it's actually good and really wrecks you and messes you up. But if you're interested, I actually do recommend it. It's priced really well. It's got a label that could alternately be described as silly or cute or charming. This is for your friends who are aware of your peccadillos and quirks. People who want to get drunk with and laugh at you. But you can find and order this all at thewalkingdeadwine.com. And I gotta tell you, based on taste, richness, flavor, mouthfeel, a term that at once makes perfect sense and at the same time is deeply creepy and feels all wrong to say. And the fact that it's been a couple of hours since my glass, or alright, a couple of glasses, but my point is I'm not a lightweight, and I'm not wrecked, but I wouldn't want to operate heavy machinery other than my Mac and my microphone right now. I can honestly say I recommend this. And if anyone from the wine company or Skybound or Robert Kirkman is listening, I will happily take you on as an advertiser or do affiliate marketing or whatever, because I've sampled it. I can give you my honest view on this wine, and it is a treat. It's not something you want to necessarily serve around the intelligentsia. You don't want to serve it to family. I don't think it's the case that I'll be breaking out any of these bottles at, for instance, Thanksgiving. But I'll certainly be serving it at my Halloween party. So, for whatever that's worth, The Walking Dead wine. And Halloween, I can't wait. I've pre-ordered my tickets, and I hope you've done the same. It's going to be very hard to get in to see this movie this weekend, so order your tickets now. Go to Fandango, or MoviePhone, or your local Cineplex, or whatever your preferred method of ordering tickets in advances, because these tickets are going to sell like crazy. I'd pre-order those tickets now. In the meantime, I will be back tomorrow night with my last episode for the week of the Matt Sager podcast before I go off and see Halloween myself. And I also strongly suggest, whether or not you're one of the many people who didn't catch episodes 1 or 2 or both of season 9 of The Walking Dead, I would take the next couple of days and catch up if you haven't seen them. Because I strongly believe, this is not any sort of inside information, but based on the events of especially last week's episode 2, if you're a fan of the Walking Dead comic, I strongly believe, you know the last big war that was fought in the pages of that book? The one in which Rick Grimes and his crew fought against an army of really disgusting, horrific, and quite scary enemies? People who literally wore the flesh of the dead to mask themselves and to sow terror among Rick's camp? Yeah, I believe that is where Season 9 is going. It's just a guess. slightly educated based on my knowledge of Walking Dead lore and being kind of a fan, but it's only a guess. But really, you are missing out if you're not watching just because you've read all the press about, oh, Rick Grimes is leaving. I don't think it means the end of the show. It certainly shouldn't. If you've been a long-term fan of the show, there's really no reason to jump off now. It really is getting quite interesting. So once again, I'll see you tomorrow. Hope you're having a spooktacular pre-Halloween season, and get in touch with me. Send me scary emails. Matt@mattsager.com. You can also call me, and please don't be too disturbing on the phone, but you can leave me voicemails at 646-535-4788. You can also hit me up on social media. On Twitter, I'm @MattSager. Instagram, Real Matt Sager, and Facebook, I'm The Matt Sager. My voiceover page there is Matt Sager VO, and this podcast page is Matt Sager Podcast. And for more social media links, along with my voiceover reels, more contact info, articles, blog posts, and all kinds of stuff, head on over to mattsagervoiceover.com.